a fight with the Mexican monster, David Benavidez? What you want, Canelo? What you want, Canelo?
You gotta understand, like.
But I gotta ask you, bro, because I can't, you know.
My thing is, Benavidez is a big dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to say I won't fight him. I fought his brother. You know what I mean? His brother was big when I fought him. But, you know what I mean? Benavidez is a big dude. The only reason why.
Well, I would say Benavidez, but he's too, you know, that weight class is too high for him. So, you know, where he's at now is great.
There's still a need for Benavidez.
Who? Canelo?
Turkey people, you know, people are talking about it.
Turkey hit it at that. He was like Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey,
did.
So.
Turkey just posted that this morning, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terence Crawford.
No,
there.
man. No, we ain't doing that fight.
Maybe planning on vacating the belts.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts. You know, we just gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
Turkish Alalshikh throwing a mega challenge on the table. Crawford versus Benavidez, but Coach Bomac dismisses it as pointless. Fans are split. Spectacle versus logic. This clash of visions sparks the kind of drama boxing thrives on.
Because they are smart and they are businessmen, and there is no reason to have any problem.
And when big promoters speak, the debate heats up even more. Eddie Hearn showing respect. He believes Crawford's ring IQ and slick movement are just levels above. If Crawford carries that same sharpness, Benavidez could struggle to pin him down. That's a serious warning from a top promoter.
You know, the skill, the IQ, the movement of Terence Crawford would just be too much for Canelo Alvarez, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, I woke up to get my flight home.
But listen closely, even Benavidez himself admits Crawford is no easy puzzle. Respect from the Mexican monster himself, Benavidez admits Crawford's IQ is elite. But weight is the real question. He knows Crawford's a dog, but against a naturally bigger beast, the danger is doubled. Fans smell unpredictability here.
Terence Crawford, does he have an opportunity to beat Canelo?
I think if anybody has a chance to beat Canelo, I think it's Terence Crawford. His IQ is on another level. He's a great fighter and he's strong. It's just that it's a lot of weight. I wouldn't be surprised if Terence Crawford wins. Wouldn't be surprised if he loses. Terence Crawford, when he went up against the best opposition, like Errol Spence, he showed what level he's on, what type of dog he is. I don't know. You really have to let these fights play out to see what happens. He might get hurt. That might activate him to come back strong.
Could you still make 68?
I don't want to make 68.
No,
And then we hear Crawford himself speaking honestly about the challenge. Crawford admits straight up Benavidez is a monster. Too big, too heavy, and not even at 16'8" anymore. Yet there's no fear in his tone, only realism. That's the mentality of a champion who knows exactly what's ahead.
Over Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo.
But while Crawford shows respect, others call the entire fight pointless. Greg Hackett shuts it down, saying the fight is pointless. For him, Crawford doesn't need Benavidez, and forcing the Mexican monster to drop from 75 back to 16'8" just doesn't make boxing sense. Still, sometimes the biggest events come from the most unlikely matchups. Fans love chaos.
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude. You know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look.
Right, not now. At 175, yeah.
He probably can't even make 168 no. But when you look at these fights.
And when pressed further, Greg doubles down with even sharper words. Greg continues, saying Benavidez has his own mountains to climb, and Bud isn't even on his radar. For him, this is less about boxing and more about Turkish Alalshikh flexing his power. It's politics, not passion. But in boxing, politics often create blockbuster moments.
Try to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 174.
Coach Bredman lays it down raw. This fight isn't just tough, it's brutal. He highlights the mountain Bud would need to climb. Benavidez' height, reach, constant pressure, and that scary stamina that only grows stronger round after round. Against Canelo, Crawford neutralized power with sharp shots and control. But Benavidez is a different animal. Bigger, faster, relentless. The question isn't just whether Crawford can outbox him, it's whether Benavidez can even make the weight without losing his edge. If he does, the challenge becomes even more dangerous. For Bud, this is no ordinary fight. It's a war against size, speed, speed and youth.
Even though he hasn't been at 60, there's no big names at 60. 68, maybe the Benavidez fight. That's a tough fight for Bud. I ain't gonna lie, that's a tough fight. Benavidez ain't. Yeah, that's a tough fight. I don't know if Bud can overcome that. That's different. That's a lot. That's a lot to overcome. Height, reach, the speed of Benavidez coming downhill, the stamina, because this a guy that does get stronger as the fight goes also. So some of the advantages he had over Canelo, he wouldn't have at Benavidez. I think it will be a question if Benavidez can make the weight.
And while trainers sound cautious, Crawford's own camp takes a much harder stance. Crawford's trainer, Bomax, slams the door shut. No hesitation, no doubt. For him, a Benavidez fight isn't happening, full stop. He makes it clear they're not chasing spectacle or risking legacy. Bud's camp wants control, discipline, and smart choices. Vacating belts, forget it. Taking on a bigger, heavier monster just for headlines? Not on his watch. It's a defiant stand, but it also shows just how seriously they take the threat of Benavidez. Fans hear those words and wonder, is this protection or is it strategy? Either way, it adds fuel to the fire of speculation.
Canelo? Turkey dropped. People are talking about it. Turkey hinted at that. He was like, Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey,
did.
so
Turkey just posted that this morning, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terence Crawford.
No,
we ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts. You know, we just gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
And when Benavidez' own family speaks, the message is even more direct. Jose Benavidez Sr. paints a brutal picture. Crawford might be the pound-for-pound king, but age and size don't lie. By 2026, Bud will be 38, climbing into the ring against a relentless pressure machine who's earned the name Mexican Monster for a reason. Jose shows respect, acknowledging Crawford's legacy, his history-making rise, and the fact he's already done the impossible against Spence and Canelo. But in his eyes, David isn't just another name. He's a force of nature, throwing endless combinations, walking opponents down, and punishing them with raw size and youth. For Jose, this isn't personal, it's reality. Crawford would be walking into fire, and the fire doesn't show mercy. Fans hear this and wonder, is the fairy tale of Bud's dominance destined to end here? Or will the legend rise one more time?
I think David's too big for Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford will be like 38 years old, you know? I mean, it will not be the same as Canelo, man. We know David comes in and throws a lot of punches and put the pressure. And no disrespect to Terence Crawford, he's the best pound for pound. He's in the books to do history. He did something that nobody could do. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the Mexican Monster, you know?
The analyst rips into the hype, calling it pure spectacle from Turkish Alalshikh, an attempt to flex power rather than make a fight that truly belongs. His point is sharp, forcing Benavidez down from 75 to 68, while asking Crawford, a man who began his career at lightweight, to bridge nearly 3 decades of pounds in just a couple of years. It's madness. It's not about legacy or fair competition, it's about building a circus for headlines. Still, boxing has always thrived on madness. Ali versus Foreman, Pacquiao jumping weights, Mayweather taking on bigger men. These fights looked insane on paper, but became historic once the gloves touched. So while the analyst dismisses it as nonsense, fans can't help but dream. What if the impossible clash actually happens and history gets rewritten yet again?
Care about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. You know what I mean?
I understand that Turkey likes to make these big grand events, but there's a boxing aspect to this shit too. Like some stuff gotta make boxing sense. Bringing the dude down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 68, and then having him fight a dude that just jumped 3 weight classes in 2 fights that started his career off at 35.
Right.
Like no, bro, no.
Yeah, I don't want to see that fight. There's no point. There's no point.
So here we are, boxing fans. Turkish Alalshikh has lit the spark, and suddenly the world is debating Crawford versus Benavidez in 2026. If Bud takes this fight and wins, he cements himself as one of the greatest ever, a man who defied weight, age, and logic itself. But if the Mexican Monster rises to the occasion and crushes Crawford, it's the beginning of a terrifying new reign, proof that size, power, and pressure can break even the sharpest technician alive. This isn't just a fight, it's a clash of eras, of styles, of sheer willpower. Who's mentally stronger? Who really wants it more? History tells us legends are made in fights that don't make sense, and this could be one of them. So now it's your turn. Would you back the veteran genius in Crawford or the young monster in Benavidez? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Let's settle this debate.